Hey, it's George coming at you again today. And as always, what actions are you taking today to build the future of your dreams? Because as always, what you put off till tomorrow isn't going to make tomorrow any better. It's what you do today that's going to make the future of your dreams. So, what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about what it is and what is the natural progression of becoming successful, of achieving your own success. You know, a lot of times when people get into something new, they're trying to find a way to achieve success. And, quite honestly, I see this all the time. They get into online business. They approach me to get into this opportunity, and then they just expect to have this, magic button that all of a sudden within 24 hours, the coffers are full and everything's happening. And, they don't have to do anything but sit back and watch TV the way they always were. Well, the problem with it is if you want something different, then you have to become something different, and therefore you have to do something different to be able to do it. And we want to talk about what is the natural progression of being able to achieve success in yourself or in anybody. And you can see this in everybody when they go to try to achieve stuff. And one of those first steps is their unconscious incompetence. They just don't know what they don't know. They don't know that, they have no idea that they're not doing things right, and that that's not the way to do things, and that's not the way that's going to produce results. They're just not sure. It's the old saying is they just don't know what they don't know until they come to the point where they start to realize that they're not getting the results that everybody else is getting. And that's when they start to realize that, something needs to change. And that's when they finally make that first step, the hardest step sometimes to make, into that conscious incompetence. They have to admit to themselves consciously that they don't know what they're doing, that they're not taking the right actions, that they're doing things their own way and not the way that people that are finding the results that they want to achieve are doing it. So they become conscious, they become aware that they actually don't know how to take the actions that are needed to become successful. So, and that leads to finally being able to take action, to be able to learn, to be able to find those people, to be able to surround ourselves with people that are finding the results that are making it, so that we can move into that next step, which is conscious competence, where we now have learned, we have now surrounded ourselves, we continue to educate ourselves, we continue to find the resources that are needed to be able to achieve success. We're changing our habits, we're modifying our actions, and we're doing this consistently, so that we're now in conscious competence, because we now know what we have to do. We know the action steps. Doesn't mean we don't have to still refine them from time to time and change it a little bit here and there as whatever business we're in changes. But we're now consciously competent to take action to get the results that we want. But we have to be focused on it. We have to drive our competence. We have to drive our actions, and we have to do this consciously. We have to literally sit down and think about what we need to do and then walk our way through it. And that will continue to be for a while until we can create the habits that is behind that competence. And that's when we finally make it into the final transition of going into unconscious competence, where we can finally just do it. It's one of those things where, you get behind the wheel of a car after you've been driving for 20 years and you arrive at your destination and you're like, well, whoa, how did I get there? I don't remember I don't remember how I got here. It's because your unconscious mind, you've been doing it for so long, your unconscious mind has driven you to your destination. Now, I'm not saying that's the best way to do things. You need to be paying attention because, well, you may have unconscious competence, or the drivers around you may not. So, but it just gives an example, and I know we've all been there, where you just show up and you're like, how did I get there? Well, that's your unconscious, through the habits, through, having those habits time and time again. You have unconsciously built the competence to be able to do it, so that you can unconsciously, you don't have to think about, well, I got to drive this link to this link, and I got to have this little tracking widget here, and I got to have the website here. No, it's like bam, 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 done. Move on to the next thing. It's because you can just go ahead, do it, and move on. And that's the thing about it, is you have to realize this is the natural progression toward achieving success, and no matter what you're doing. So the earlier you recognize it, the earlier you can identify which stage you're in, the earlier that you can obviously take the action that's needed to get you to that next level, so that you can ultimately get to the unconscious competence where you're taking actions, taking consistency, and not having to think about it, and driving the results that you want. And that's where true success can become in your business. So again, it's about the action steps you take today that'll drive your future. So the question is what stage are you in? What stage are you at? Comment below, let me know, and let me know what you're doing to drive you to that next stage. And then if you're interested in what I do for business, what I do for my lifestyle, how I've been able to create the unconscious competence in my business so that I can drive the results that I'm looking for, click the link below. But and then you'll be able to see, and I'll be able to get with you personally. But please comment below, take the action steps today, and until next time, keep taking action.